Well, the thing about Be Mine was actually a song I wrote and recorded some of it during White Ladder. It was one of many songs that was sort of coming along when we sort of just basically started to tour, and they never really got finished. So that one sort of got dragged in, and I think it sort of stands out a bit as being far too sort of pleased with itself and sort of generally relaxed. It's not been in my thoughts at all. So it was interesting listening to that. I thought, actually, this is quite good. I think I'm going to sort of have another look at it and bring it a bit up to date. We were looking for a song that had a bit of sort of oomph to it, because there was a lot of ballads. They were like Life in Slow Motion, Alibi. It was a lot of slow stuff, and if you've got too many of those, it sort of sinks into the weight of itself. So I think we just needed some contrast on the record. So Marius sort of, what have you got? What have you got? And I came in one day and said, oh, I've got something. What do you think of this? Great. And we just got straight into it. And we abandoned whatever else we were working on, and we worked on Hospital Food for a couple of days. I had this idea of how the song should go in my head and recorded it, but everybody felt differently about it. It was like, no, I don't. That bit shouldn't. You need to hear that bit twice. Anyway, it was. I've never seen something that. So everybody had their own sort of patchwork quilt, which they preferred. The idea for the song was given to me because we took part in the This Year's Love film, which had various British actors in it, and David Kane was the director who'd used my songs before. It was one of those times when you really need something to happen and somebody asks you to do some music for a film. It was like, great. And he wanted a title track, and I sort of said to him, listen, I don't really do that kind of thing. If I've got a song and you like it, you can pick it, but I've never done one to order. And then I wasn't prompted by Rob or anything, but I sort of went away and thought, well, Jesus, listen, I'm completely skinned. What the hell am I thinking of? I should at least have a go. So I gave it a go, and actually didn't spend all that long on it, but spent a few hours working it out and did up a little rough version, and sent it off, and everyone really, really liked it. So it's like, well, we should record this properly, because it was a piano song. So we blagged some free time at Air Studios, and before we turned up, I imagined we'd be in Studio 1 or Studio 2, which is the big studio I'd been in before, which is massive. But we were actually in Studio 1, which was the classical studio, which is absolutely enormous. It's a ridiculous thing. So it was just me on a piano with mic'd up in the middle of the room. We had 4 hours, I remember. We survived on Toasties at the time. Clune had this Breville toasted sandwich maker. So he'd taken his toasted sandwich along to Air Studios when money was too tight to mention. And anyway, he set to making the toasties while I was doing something else. But set off the fire alarms, because they're not used to, the Breville. So we actually closed we were there on a freebie, closed the place down. So I was like, what's going on? I remember we wandered out, we went to the loo or something, and it was like, there's thousands of sort of classical musicians like, out in the corridor. It's like, get everybody out, everybody out. It's like, oh, I think I know what that might be. And it was like, Clune, you set the fire alarm off. So that's what I remember. Free time, 4 hours free recording, and Clune setting the fire alarm off with his toaster. It's like a sort of flagship song for me, Shine. It's one I've played all through my career, and there aren't many that you can do that with. Most of them don't sort of last, or an awful lot of them don't. Well, I think because of the hook of the big vocal lines at the end, it has a sort of something instantly memorable about it. It has a certain presence. I've played Shine all the way. Probably played it more than any other song, I guess, on that basis. Yeah, Alibi. All I remember about this is, I don't know. Again, I overanalyzed this song, and we really put it through the mill. But at the end of it, kind of went back to basics, and I managed to record a decent version of it. we went into this huge studio in Angel Studios in Islington, and they were brilliant to record all the strings. And it was only you do it as like a 3-hour session. If you do that, you have to pay for another session if you go over, sort of thing. So it's like the clock starts ticking. The session was absolutely great. It's so many times we've tried to add strings or horns or whatever it is to something, and you have issues of tuning or timing, and it just becomes a real strain. You're like, are we going to get it? You're wondering as you struggle through. But anyway, I remember that session was really exhilarating. We actually finished with like an hour to spare. They were so on the case. The first song we did was Alibi, because it was by far the most complicated. And they just struck up the intro, and I was blown away before we'd even turned the tapes on or anything. Just the practice run through. I was like, whoa, this is going to be. And listening to that one, I really enjoyed listening to that on the album.